All right, so to start on this AeroLEDS wingtip light install, I'm going to go ahead and pull the wing, it's not really a wingtip, but the wing plate off of the Piggyback STOL. And I have to determine basically where I can mount the light where it doesn't interfere with what's directly behind it. Because unlike the wingtips from the Super Sport wing, where you have this big cavity that you can just pretty much mount anywhere, even though there is a mounting pad for it on these tips. This one sits right up against that last rib, so I need to make sure that where I choose to put the wires through doesn't interfere with one of the rib webbings. So I'll pull it off, take a look at that, and make sure I don't have any interference, determine the location, and then we'll start by mounting those up. These are the wing tips. Those came off of the end of the Piggyback STOL wing. So I've got the Pulsar NSP 12 volt position strobe lights mounted up on those, and those are from AeroLEDS. It's your nav ACS position light, and there's a pair of them, so left and right.
You guys can go to the website and check it out. Just click on the nav strobe lights and then the Pulsar series, and then scroll down to the Pulsar N series experimental, and here's the information on them. These are really a high quality product, guys. They're made in Boise, Idaho, and AeroLEDs has been really great to work with.
So I'll show you how that's going to look. Be pretty simple, just like that. Still haven't figured out how we're going to mount the landing lights. And the landing lights from AeroLEDS are the microsun external mount. These little guys like this.
All right, again, you can go to the website, click on the landing light section, and scroll down to the microsun. It's the one with the 3 LEDs, and these are the ones that go on the wing tips. All the specs and pictures for the microsuns are available here on the website, so you guys can go there and check it out.
And then the other one that we have, which I'm pretty excited about, is bigger landing light, and this one is, I'll set it down right there so you can see it. This one is actually the AeroSun landing recognition light.
All right, once again, you can find these on the website under landing lights. Click on that, scroll down to the AeroSun series, click on that, and it is the AeroSun. The specs on this, the one thing I needed to find out on the specs for this one was the amp draw, because I was adding this to the already installed wiring. I needed to up the amp, or the basically the fuse for this, so that I didn't overload the circuit. There's also installation guides attached to each one of these products on the website.
So this one, I actually have plans. I haven't really played around with it too much, but it'll be on the same switch as the little ones on the wing, but I plan on mounting it right there. So I think that'll be really cool right in the middle of the cabane. I worked out a fairing for the backside, but I think that would be a really nice spot for an actual landing light. So those are the lights from AeroLEDS. Pretty excited to get those installed. All right, to do this install, I've got a bunch of 4 conductor shielded wire from ProWire. This is a good supplier for aviation grade wire if you guys are looking for something other than aircraft spruce. ProWire, they do a great job of getting it out to you quickly, and they've got all kinds of options. So this is a 4 conductor shielded. So what I need to do is run it through the wing. I've got the wing on the left side swung back a little bit so I can get access to the root. So just need to run the wire through the wing, and then I have I had these plugs. I decided to do this from the get-go so that I could swap the wings and just unplug them. So one of these is for the landing light. That's this one, and then this one's for the position light strobe. So first one I'll run is a position light strobe, and then hook up a 4-pin Dausch connector to that. I've got that connector right here. So that will go on, and then we can put the wingtip on. So it should be pretty quick on the position lights. All right, so they've supplied some plugs, but they're 4 connector plugs. They are waterproof. But since I'm already using the Dausch connectors and I have some extras, I'm just going to go ahead and and stick with the dowsh. The plug pattern doesn't matter on this end, so I went ahead and just did this end up. The next part's the part that's going to be a little tricky because I got to match up the wiring from the that was already in the airplane to the new harness that's coming out the wing. So now I got to figure out where each one goes. Alright, so I got that position light wire run. So now I just have to match up the wire pattern to the plugs on this. Put a plug, and then we'll wire up the other end to the landing light. And we'll at least get the left side done today, maybe. All right, so tracing everything back from the other wiring harness, I've got everything kind of mapped out, and these should all be in the right position now. Okay, so now for the moment of truth is we'll go ahead and turn them on and see if it works. It's a success. So now I just got to mount the tip back on the wing, tidy up the wiring, do a little shrink wrap there, and then I can get going on the other side. All right. Right on the left. Me on the right. Strobe's going. Position light. Let's tie into what I already had in the back with the tail beacon, or the tail strobe. So we're all set up and legal to fly at night again. Now we just gotta do some landing lights.
Alright guys, for the next part of the project, I needed to come up with a good solution to mounting the micro suns on the wingtips. And I wanted to mount them on the top of the wing strut, but I didn't have a good way to run the wiring. And so I decided to come up with a little fairing housing that I made here in Shaper 3D, and then went ahead and printed it up on the 3D printer. Then while I had the printer going, I also designed the fairing for the center light that would be attached to the cabane, and made not only the attachment bracket but a little piece of fairing for that as well.
There you go. So this was my first design for the wingtip light mounts, and I didn't really care for the aerodynamic feature of it, so I went with a more streamlined one. So basically what's going to happen is the light is going to mount to the front of it. I'll show you once it's on the airplane, but these will go on the front of this mount, and then this will be attached to the wingtip, and that should streamline it a little bit and make the wiring process a little bit easier. Now, originally they sent me these mounts that go on the wing struts, and they were the wrong radius. They were 5/8. So I talked with AeroLED, who then designed these other ones they sent me, which I would like to use, but I just couldn't figure out, with the wings being covered already, a good way to get the wire to that location without running all the way to tip and back. So that's the way those mounts would work on the wing strut. And it'd be right at the top of the strut where there's no carbon fiber fairing. So that's the idea with that one. So I probably won't end up using either of those because I've created my own mounts. This one I did in ABS plastic, and you can see these cracks where I had separation in the adhesion level. And that was my first time printing with ABS, and I didn't really care for it. So I went with this is a PETG filament, which you can see I also made a fairing for the big light, also a fairing for the tail suspension. So I'll show you that once I get down to the airplane. But I'm actually painting up the final ones for the lights, just to put something to protect the plastic on it a little bit. So these are the two that are going to go on the plane. So I'll get those dried up, and then we'll go down the airplane and I'll show you how I'm going to mount those to the wingtips and install these lights from Aero LED or AeroLEDs. And we should have, basically, when we're all done here, we're going to have one of these on each wingtip, and then this big one will be centered on the middle of the cabane V. So that's going to be pretty cool, and I've got that figured out how that's going to mount. We've got the nav light and strobes installed. So now we'll head down and get these landing lights on, and hope to have these all set and ready for High Sierra. And I may actually use the environment at High Sierra to show you these lights and include that in the video. If I didn't, then I'll include it in the next video. But excited to get these on and get back to night flight capable. All right, guys, so I'm down here at the hangar working on this landing light installation. And so basically I created that housing to go on the wingtip. So that's what I'm installing right now. Is I've got the light mounted to it. See how it bolts in through the brackets on the actual light into the receptacle that I made on the computer, then 3D printed. And then that's fastened to the wingtip from the inside, and then the wires come through this hole that's drilled through. So that's the way it will sit on the wing. You know, it's still not super aerodynamic in the front, but easing the flow of the air around the back, we'll see. I don't think we'll notice any difference in airspeed, but without being able to run a wire to the other place to put them, which I don't really have ever really liked, but you can put them right here at the end of the wing strut. But there wasn't a good way to get a wire down the wing to this point since the wing's already covered. So something to think about while you're building is, if you ever plan on putting anything out there, like a charge cable for a camera or anything like that, maybe a little bit of conduit, like a small plastic tube that ran to that, this area in here where the fabric ends around that bracket. That way you could run a wire through. If I was going to do it again, I would put some of those in the wing, different places, so that I could run wire much easier after the fact. So what I did here is I ran the wire down inside the front wing spar. This side's done, so I've got the wingtip slightly off right now, but you can see it comes down through the wing spar. That wire will tuck back in. I've got the Dauch style connector there, and I did test this one. It does work. Now there's 4 wires, so there's your power, your ground, then there's a yellow, and then each light has a green or a blue. So there's actually 5 wires coming off the light. So one side you use the green wire, the other side you use the blue wire, and you actually connect those to each other, and that's the signal wire between the 2 lights, so that when you go to the WigWag, which I believe is the yellow provides the power on the WigWag, because they both get a yellow wire, that it will pulse the light back and forth between the 2, or the power. So that gives you that really good recognition light from left to right. What I don't know is in the directions you can do a 2-light system or a 4-light system. So the other thing I've mounted up is this landing light down here, which I haven't wired yet. I made this really cool mount for that. You can come around behind it. It's got a 3D printed part, kind of streamlines the back of the cabane. So what I don't know is if I can plug that one in with the other 2 and run a 3-light WigWag. So right now I'm working on the other wing. So I've got the part mounted up here. The next thing I need to do is run the wire down the left wing spar. And then in order to plug all that in, I've got a dowse connector at the base of the wing. So I do have to actually fold the wing back just a little bit to get access to that to run the wire. So just about done with that. And then I got to change the oil today also. So once I get it all done, I can pull it out and run it for a little bit, warm it up. The landing light, hopefully I can get that done. Like I said, I got to give them a call and see how to wire that in. I definitely want it wired on. Kind of show you how I've got the switches set up right now in here. So I've got landing lights right here. So if you turn this on, both those lights will come on solid. So I definitely want to turn the bottom landing light on the landing gear on also. So it'll be wired into that switch. And then this is the WigWag switch. All right, guys, so I got everything wired up and back together. Wingtips are on there. The bottom one's wired. I had to take the cowlings all off to get the wiring run through. So basically what I did on this one is just ran it up the cabane, up into the fuselage, and then back in, tied it into the same switches. So tracking that down, I actually didn't have to call them, because if you just wire a single, you can wire a single for WigWag just by adding additional power. And it's on the same WigWag switch as the other one. So when these are going WigWag left and right, that one does the pattern. It kind of matches the right wing. So it worked out good. Those are all installed. You know, they're not beautiful. I'd like to see a more integrated wingtip solution. So I'll probably come up with something composite, carbon fiber down the road that kind of encompasses the light and everything in there. But for now, they're great for recognition. Obviously, it's still light out, so let's fire these lights up, probably out on the playa. We'll get some really good light shots, show you what these things look like, because they're really cool, super bright. I'm excited to try doing a little bit of night flight with it. So gotta do an oil change still before we head out, so I'll be back down tomorrow to wrap that up. I gotta wrap up, tidy up some wiring in here, and then do an oil change. So we'll get back to it tomorrow.
Well, I couldn't be more happy with the results. This install went really well. The lights are really bright. I'm really excited about this center landing light. It lights up a good almost 150 to 200 feet out in front of you. It's going to make night landings a lot easier. So I'm excited to get out there and do some night flying. I want to thank AeroLEDs or AeroLEDs for sending out the lights so I could do this review. And the next video, guys, I'll put together something about the High Sierra fly-in. Here's a little taste coming up.